What up, guys? UFC 308, best event of the year, right next to UFC 300. I cannot wait for this one. I mean, it's up there with UFC 300 in all the fights. Even the guys that most people might not have heard of are actually really good fights. But anyways, my other video has the Topuria versus Holloway fight. I have its own video if you want to check it out. It's posted. This one I'm going to talk about the remaining of the main card, and maybe I'll cover some of the prelims. But anyways, co-main event, it's Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Here's the thing, right? If you really think about it, the hype train of Chimaev has not been derailed, right? Because the guy hasn't lost. It has slowed down for sure, but it's not derailed. Like Chimaev has not lost, hasn't even been close to losing. And I know I'll say that why I say that in a second. It's definitely not what it was when he first started, where he was absolutely steamrolled over everybody, and people were talking about welterweight champion, middleweight champion, and he can fight whatever he wants. It's definitely slowed down. But not because, again, he's lost, because of his inactivity. Like, he's taking a lot of time off, and he's fighting once a year, and he's at the point where either he better step up and can have and stay active, or people are just not going to give a shit about him, or then the train will really be derailed, right? If I say he has one more layoff, it's over, right? But anyways, he's fighting Robert Whittaker, who looked like a killer in his last fight against Ankalaev, who, fights on short notice are always tricky. So it's hard to say, how much did it affect it? I mean, I talk shit about all the time, but, the non-casual part of me, I understand that taking a fight on short notice is always at his risk, right? And Ankalaev got destroyed in that fight. He got knocked out. I'll talk about Whittaker first in his last fight. So he knocked out Ankalaev a minute and a half into the fight. He connected a right hand that wobbled him, and then just followed it up with everything else and knocked him out. This is an Ankalaev that was coming from destroying everyone they put in front of him. I actually picked Ankalaev to win that one, and Whittaker goes up and beats him. And I was like, where was that Whittaker when he fought Dricus du Plessis? Because he would have made me a shit ton of money had he not lost that damn fight. But anyways, however, before that, he did not look that good against Paulo Costa, who is not that great. I mean, Paulo Costa has shown that he's like okay level, And Whittaker even got hurt at the very beginning of that fight. Towards the end of the first round, and he ended up winning the decision, but he didn't look that great against Costa. Certainly not what he did against Ankalaev. Chimaev is coming from fighting a year ago against Usman, a fight that he clearly won the fight, right? You can sit here and say, if it would have been 5 rounds, could have, should have, would have. However, that fight, he clearly dominated round 1 as far as, I thought he was about to get the submission. Round 2 was competitive. And I think where maybe you can argue for Usman, maybe. And then round 3, once again, Chimaev took him down and controlled him. I'm picking Chimaev to win this one. Like, I'm staying with the hype until I see this guy actually lose or get beat by someone. He has looked, other than the Usman fight, when again he clearly won that fight. I mean, can you really fault him for not destroying Usman? Who destroys Usman? Nobody, right? We're talking about a guy who's really good, and he looked good. Like, he won that fight clearly. Everyone else besides him, before him, even the Gilbert Burns one, I think that has been his more challenging fight, where for a moment there, it looked like he almost got knocked out. But I just think that if he mixes it up well with the takedown plus his own striking, and being 3 rounds, where, again, I'm not concerned about cardio because it's 3 rounds. I think it's going to be, first I'm going to say, I'm not very confident. I can totally see Whittaker upsetting I think it's going to be an extremely competitive fight. It's going to go to decision. And I'm picking Chimaev to win maybe 29-28. Maybe Whittaker takes over in the third round. But this one I'm like 60-40. Not super confident on Chimaev. I would not bet the house on him. Whittaker might just be a really good live underdog, honestly, depending how the rounds are playing. But Chimaev by decision. Before that, we have a fight between Murphy and Dan Ige. Ige is coming from losing a decision to Diego Lopez, where I corrected this last time, where people were saying he took the fight on short notice. And I'm like, no, he did not. I think he was actually getting ready for this fight for Murphy back in July. The fight happened, I think, in June, maybe, and he had a fight 3 weeks later. So Diego Lopez was very well in shape in camp, and had a competitive fight against Lopez where he clearly won round 3, but clearly lost round 1 and 2. Lopez, it was a little bit of everything in that fight. We had striking, we had grappling, we had submission attempts. And overall, Lopez did a little bit better. I can't really think of ever Ige being dominated by anyone, like actually get beat down, Every single one of his fights are very competitive, even the ones he loses. Murphy is coming from dominating Edson Barboza in a 5-round fight where, Edson, one of my, if not my all-time favorite fighter as far as, entertainment. I think age has caught up to him, and it was a striking battle where just Barboza couldn't keep up with Murphy. I'm picking Murphy to win this one by decision. I think he's a little bit of the better striker, faster and more technical, and Ige likes to strike, but I think he's fighting the better striker. So I'm picking Murphy by decision. I don't think there's going to be grappling involved. I don't see either one of them knocking the other one out. Again, a fun stand-up fight where I just think Murphy's going to be a little bit better and get the decision. Before that, we have Ankalaev versus Rakic, this fight should have title implications 100%. The winner of this one, or if Ankalaev wins, right, there should be he should get the title. I think he should have got it before Khalil Rountree, but I see what the UFC is doing. Rakic is coming from losing to Prochaska in the second round, got TKO. However, if you actually go and watch that fight, he was doing damn good. Like, he was showing that, I actually picked Rakic to win that one. He was showing that his stand-up skills are amazing. Like, super technical, crisp, powerful, very disciplined striker. He was actually doing better than Prochaska in that fight until he got caught, and I think he might have gassed a little bit. Ankalaev is coming from knocking out Johnny Walker, which is, there's nothing amazing about that, right? That guy gets knocked out by anyone elite that he fights. I think the fight before was Walker that ended up in controversy. And I think before that, he knocked out Ion Cutelaba. I'm picking Ankalaev to win it could be decision, but it could also be a TKO, like a late TKO, if Rakic slows down. I just think Ankalaev has more tools to get it done, and I think he has improved a lot. And overall, in all his skills, Rakic, what concerns me is, like, if I actually had to put him side by side and hit who is the better striker, I would say that Rakic is slightly the more technical striker and more crisp, but I just think Ankalaev overall is a better fighter. And I think he can grapple if needed. Rakic can grapple too, though, but I don't think he will be able to out-grapple Ankalaev. But I can see Ankalaev, if Rakic gets tired after all the pressure, being able to get a few takedowns. Rakic could upset, though. This one is also one that I'm not super competitive. If Rakic fights very smart and throws the kicks when he's supposed to and keeps it clean, he could very well upset. But no, I'm not picking against Ankalaev on this one. Ankalaev is, he's really good. he should be the next one fighting for the title, and we'll see what happens. Before that, we have Magomedov, Shara Magomedov, and is it Giorgio Petrosyan? I have Magomedov by decision, but not super confident either. A lot of these fights, I'm not confident. The reason why I'm not confident with Magomedov is because he hasn't looked, ever since he entered the UFC, he hasn't looked like he did before the UFC, right? Before the UFC, he was just putting dudes away like nothing. In the UFC, the stuff that he does doesn't seem to work on the high level guys, you know? This guy throws, 100 kicks per minute. He doesn't get tired, which is interesting. And Petrosyan is kind of like Rakic, is actually a very skillful fighter. Petrosyan is coming from getting submitted by Rodolfo Vieira in the first round, but a minute and a half into it. That's not going to be a problem here. I don't see Shara shooting for takedowns. Magomedov is coming from putting a decent win against Michael Oleksiejczuk, however you pronounce it. But where he ate a lot of shots, like it's not like he steamrolled over Michael. He actually got hit. His face was a little busted up, and Michael had his moments. Petrosyan is, I would say, just as good as a striker. But I just think Magomedov, because of his age, I am counting that we're going to see an improved Magomedov that is going to be able to, again, I'm picking decision, this one here, just do enough to get the decision. I don't think he is that much of a better striker than Petrosyan. I mean, they might actually be equals as far as skill for skill, but I think Magomedov, the pressure and the flashiness and the stuff that he does, it's going to make the judges say, okay, we think you won this fight. But not confident on that one either. Petrosyan is another one that could upset. I do have a dog for this fight. Don't worry. I'm picking all favorites here. It's just sometimes it goes that way. Jeff Neal and RDA. I'm picking Jeff Neal by knockout round 2. Jeff Neal is coming from losing to Ian Gary Machado. A fight where, Machado was smart. He didn't really want to engage, and he played a smart fight and pulled a boring decision. RDA is coming from getting dominated by Mateusz Gamrot. But the thing is, RDA doesn't fight like Ian Gary Machado. He actually goes for it, and he takes risk, and he tries to win the fight by him doing the damage. And I think he's just going to run into one of Jeff Neal's punches, and I don't think he'll be able to eat it, I'm picking Jeff Neal knockout round 2. I think round 1 might be competitive, but eventually RDA's willingness to engage is going to cost him the fight. My underdog for the fight is actually is it Mateusz Rebecki, I believe, versus Orlby. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's Rebecki versus Orlby. And Rebecki is like almost plus 300. I am picking him to win by decision. He is my underdog. I watched both their last fights. Rebecki versus Carlos Diego Ferreira and Orlby versus Brenner. And while Rebecki lost and Orlby won, Orlby looked like his striking didn't look that great. He considerably slowed down by round 2, and he wasn't even going full force. However, Rebecki, I think he learned a good lesson against Carlos Diego Ferreira, because I think he gassed out by all the pressure that he did on the first round trying to get Diego Ferreira out of there. I think if Rebecki fights smart and uses his skill and paces himself, I think he can pull the decision. Rebecki by decision, he's my upset. So far, he's my upset for the night. If you follow my Instagram, the MMA Sensei, I will post the entire fights, and if I have any more underdogs, you'll see them there. All right, guys, have a good one.